Warning, the show contains adult language, so viewer and listener discretion is advised. Welcome to another edition of Up and In It. I'm your host, Adrian Babashoff, and if you're new here, welcome as well. And if you're wondering what the show is about, it's entirely dedicated to improving quality of life for both people and planet through liberation and independence, moving you from surviving to thriving and living life raw. And damn, is it cold! It's like, what, 50 degrees over here in Sunnyside, California? I'm broadcasting to you guys live from my F-350 pickup truck on my work commute. That's how it rolls. This is episode 216, Food Shortages and Answers for the Conspiracy/Truth. Let's just begin the whole thing with a cough. Sorry about that. Welcome. Hello. How are you? Checking in on everybody. There's a bunch of conspiracies and things as usual. I think, well, not as usual. I don't think there's ever been a time right now where if you want to get the shit scared out of you, or if you want to really follow something and believe in it, boy, there's so many rabbit holes and things you can go down. And my God, sometimes it gets kind of scary. It gets really like gloomy. And I don't know what to say. I put on the show notes that /conspiracy truth, meaning I have no idea with a lot of these things that I hear, whether this is what's happening, this is what's not. I got a little spooked out, 2020, I think I've said this a few times, but the trucker strike, there's going to be some food shortages and stuff like that. I stocked up on a bunch of food, got home, was stressed out, and I'm like, what's going on in the world? And then next thing I know, I'm like, I'm going to mix me a little drink or something just to relax, and I'm like, oh shit, what if they stop alcohol? So I immediately got up and went to Costco. That's how much of a loser I am. And I spent probably like $300 and just like loaded up my cabinet, wines and mixers and stuff like that. So, but anywho, besides being a jackass, when I'm not doing that, I'm actually kind of looking up. I'm not saying that we at all during the show or at any time that we should not heed this information and that we should just dismiss it. Ostrich, put your head in the sand. But we kind of got to get control of what we do have control over. So if you guys know about me, I'm all about more of answers. And even if I don't have the full answers, what is it that I have control? What can I do for myself right now that's going to help me out, regardless of which way this goes? What's good for the earth, good for the people? So what is being said exactly? That Bill Gates is actually buying up a bunch of farmland, and the new gold, I guess, the new oil is going to be carbon. I don't know exactly what that means, what exactly they're implying there, but basically Bill Gates is like the largest landowner, not farmer, landowner, I guess, in the world or something right now, and he knows something that a lot of us don't know. So that's kind of peculiar, right? That's really peculiar. My asshole hairs are tied in a little knot right now. Not really. Just joking, guys. Trying to make some fun here. But another thing they're saying is Jeff Bezos, another fucking billionaire, is investing in vertical farming. And so the saying goes is that a lot of people are looking into growing like hydroponics, vertical. I guess there's a lot of these commercial spaces like, say, maybe shopping malls and stuff like that have gone out of business. Maybe won't continue. And maybe we can grow food with artificial lights and nutrients, in basically water and controlled environments, right? No insects and things like this, and you got to simulate winds, and so we're growing our food artificially, and they're really investing in these type of things. So this is kind of freaky. I don't know what to make of that. The one that I heard too was that they're making it very difficult for the transfer of farmland ownership. So if someone's even going to inherit the land, they have to be able to pay the taxes, I believe it was. That's why I'm doing the show, so while it's still kind of fresh in my mind. Well, it sounds like a lot of people who inherited, like, say, 1,000 acres, whatever, back in the 1920s from their father, certain places, I don't know if this is all, is make it to where when you transfer that ownership, when you pass to your son or your daughter or whoever, that they got to pay, say that what it's worth now, $20 million, for 1,000 acres. They got to pay the property taxes or things like that. They're basically making it harder and harder for that transfer of ownership. So there's a lot, and that's what's being said. I'm not saying this is what's happening. So I don't know, again, whether to buy into this or not. There's some compelling stories and evidence and things, but there's compelling stories and evidence for pros and cons on everything. So, but what could we do with this situation, according to me? Spin farm. And for those of you who don't know, that's exactly what I do in my off time as my hobby. I go and farm off people's land that I don't own. So they own the land, and in exchange, I pay the water bill. I maintain a portion of the land, maybe weed whacking and things like that. I give them food, and there's an equal value for value exchange. And this is more in the urban settings. So you can do this anywhere. There's tons of people in the city. I guess what I'm looking at is what is key is finding yourself plots where you can grow your own food. And even there's people doing this on a marketable scale where they're selling to restaurants. They're making $100,000 a year. So if you haven't already, you might want to check out. He doesn't even know I exist. I have no sponsors with my Potty Mouth podcast here. But check out Curtis Stone. I believe he's a salty mouth dog like me. But yeah, check out Curtis Stone. You can see he made a lot of video, and there's a lot of other people who came after him and just basically showing you exactly what I'm talking about, how to spin farm. And you know what? Sometimes this is best to have, what I've got on here is multiple locations are a plus. Multiple locations serve a lot of different things, and the very first one that comes to my mind is breeding seeds. So if you're going to grow food for yourself to eat, you want, for many reasons, you don't want to go and buy seeds, right? It'd be nice to have stuff for free, less inputs, less money that's need to be spent, less overhead. Well, you need space to be able to breed these seeds. Because they'll cross-pollinate. For those of you who don't know, you have a brassica family or a cucurbit family. Let's talk about cucurbits. Cucurbits are basically cucumbers, watermelons, zucchini, things like that, right? So when these things are to the best of my knowledge, unless there's some that aren't, what happens is the bee goes into the flower, gets that nectar, gets the pollen on it. When it goes to the next, say the squash from the zucchini to the cucumber, there's a pollen that gets gathered on its body and gets deposited in that flower. Well, what happens is that gets cross-pollinated, so you're not getting a true plant that you wanted. It's going to mutate into something else, right? It's going to genetically modify. And so you want to separate these things, sometimes by several hundred feet, sometimes by miles. And this goes with everything, even a tomato. You have a cherry tomato and a beefsteak tomato. By the time those bees get done with them, they're going to cross-pollinate into something that is neither or. You're just upping your chances. So yeah, locations is a plus. I think that there's many here that I could go into, but I don't have time today, is that pest pressure. Some places will have less than others. Some will be more prone to different diseases. You have different soils. You have different biomes. Deep places where they'll be hotter, places where it'll be cooler. So you get to experiment and kind of move around, and as you go through the years, you can find out what does well and what doesn't. So if you're just one plot, basically to sum that up, it's what your plot is what you got. If species aren't doing well, there's nothing you can do about it, right? So if you have multiple, it's more diversity. So see, we're looking for solutions here, not the problems. Community cooperation is another good thing if you're farming in the urban. So this is kind of sometimes a blessing in disguise, because you can get volunteers helping you for free. They want to learn how to garden, so you can get land tilled and weeding done and watering and stuff like that. You can monetize this thing to take internships and to teach people. So sometimes in the city, I think that we have a lot more opportunity than we do just way out in the country in the farmlands, right? So there's a lot that we can talk about with community, and I think the next one I have on my list here is animals, right? So if we want to start raising some chickens or something like this, and for those of you who follow, this is nothing new for you, but these are the ideas and implementations that I've got, is that when we incorporate community together, we're going to have to buy feed. It's very difficult for us to do a closed loop system at an urban scale because we have such small plots, such small land. So we're going to have to buy feed for our animals, whether you're doing turkeys, rabbits, whatever. You're going to have to buy something. So why not get a giant community, a group of people, to go, instead of buying a 50-pound bag of chicken feed or rabbit feed, whatever you have, why not go and buy an entire pallet or 2 pallets? Or why don't we just go to the feed store, go directly and say, hey, would you sell to us direct? We want big quantities, we want a whole truckload. And everybody in that community is able to knock their feed down by 50%, right? So, as goes the other thing, living in the country with animals is you're susceptible to predators. Even in the city, if you're growing chickens, from little babies, you got hawks that'll come in and just pluck these guys off. You'll have hawks that'll pluck off full-blown chickens, full-grown ones. So living in different areas aren't so prone. The further and further you get out of the city and into like the country, like kind of where I'm at, in the suburbs, you're going to have more nature coming in. We've got coyotes here that are stealing people's pets. We've got raccoons. We've got all kinds of different things, rattlesnakes and things like that. So yeah, diversity with the animals would be wonderful, and the community would bring key. But we also, oh boy, we're running out of time. Well, let's run with this. So I want to jump through all these notes I've got here. I want to talk about the feed. Let's move into stock density. So yeah, if you have a piece of land and you want to, or you're spin farming and you're living in a city and you want to grow like on an actual serious production to grow your own meat, you can't compact a bunch of chickens in a small little area. I mean, you can. People do it. They put them in a chicken coop, but these animals are literally growing in their own shit. So by having multiple plots that you can say have 10 chickens here because we have a half an acre, right? And in that half an acre, once you start introducing plants and things like that, you start taking up more of the land that takes away from the chickens. And don't forget about Mother Nature. We should always leave at least 10% just wild for all the insects and the microbiology so that they're not disturbed. So yeah, having more space to do this is better, is key. Let's move into plants and trees. Plants. Growing a lot of plants and growing a lot of trees, you're going to have some abundance, really. You're going to be dealing with overabundance. And how do we really, how do we get past this? Well, there's tons of things that we can do, such as the moringa tree, the tree of life. The leaves are very tasty. The flowers are edible. The seeds are edible. If you ever had an abundance of stone fruits like your peaches and if you're growing apples and you're growing oranges and all these kind of things. And I see a lot out here in San Diego's Sunnyside, California, where a lot of this stuff's just falling on the ground. Avocados. You can use this stuff, this surplus, to trade with other people, especially if you're doing multiple spin farm plots, right? I've got a plot right now. They've got lots of different fruit trees and stuff like that. And a lot of the different plots I've been to, they all got a diversity of things. So I can literally bring and trade for just about anything, right? Or we can use that for feed for our plants, such as chickens, right? Some things for rabbits. Basically, the moringa tree, the tree of life, is supposed to have all the vitamins and minerals and everything to sustain living creatures on the planet just in and of itself. So growing enough of those, I can imagine you can supplement that for some feed for your animals. You can buy goats and stuff like that, sheep, cows, horses, pretty much anything, even yourself. So, yeah, you can trade, you can sell the surplus, and you can also turn this into compost. That's a thing that we're going to need if we're growing our own food. So now if we're doing like rabbits and chickens, let's just say, at an urban setting, and like quail, we're getting all the droppings. If we have surplus food, surplus leaves, we have carbon from the trees and all of the plants we're growing, we can all put this all into a worm bin, very large scale is what I'm talking about, and produce a lot of compost. That's going to be your problem if you want to get compost for a large scale. You're going to have to buy it. It's all about inputs, right? But if you're creating the stuff yourself, now you don't. If you have multiple spots, you get to bring all this material. You have to have something for like the worms to eat, or even just to start a regular old compost pile. Reason why I'm a big buyer of into worms is that their casings have a natural root hormone growth thing on it, a chemical. That's why plants do so well in it. It encases and slowly releases nutrients instead of all at once. I believe that they hold on from being leached out a lot more than just regular compost. It's just my own hypothesis. But yeah, those worms will do all the work for you is the thing I like too. We like to stack functions on the show, make things a lot easier for ourselves. So if we compiled all this matter, all this excess food and everything in giant vats, say 20 by 4 foot by about 6 inches deep or 8 inches deep, maybe a foot, and you keep layering this stuff, those worms are going to do all the work for you. We just need to make sure that we have a continual amount of material to keep them alive and well, because they don't have anything to eat. They're definitely going to climb out and move someplace else. So, finally, my final thoughts to end this is, what if they take this given right away from us? And that's what some people, these conspiracy theories are talking about, is that the government doesn't want us to grow our own food. And sometimes when I listen to a lot of this information, it sounds like that's actually the case. And I'm not saying that it is. I'm not saying if it isn't. I think it's ridiculous. And I think that us as human beings here, as citizens of whatever part of the country you're in, the world, I know we have some listeners from other parts of the world, if our government starts to tell us, no, you cannot put seeds in the ground, you can't grow your own food, it's against the law, I think that's time when we finally have to throw the towel in and say, what the fuck? Really? Are you fucking kidding me, right? I'm not a violent person. I don't endorse all of this against the government shit like that. I mean, I understand it's not even peacefully, like, it's actually could be a war, but it's a war without violence. It's just a war of choice. If you guys want to understand how to stop supporting something, this show, as we talk about a lot, teach, I guess we'd say, is that everything revolves around money. Living in the city, doing the things that we're doing, everything evolves around money. How do we keep people in power? How do we keep supply and demand coming? By voting with our dollar. You're spending your money to buy things. Wherever you take that dollar, you see money goes where it's treated well, right? So and everybody knows where the attention is, just like social media. You know, something's got 1 million views. A lot of advertisers are going to go to that person or that channel and say, hey, we want to be part of this. Same thing with money. Businesses will go where everybody's spending their money. So they get you something that's very convenient, you spend your money on it. So a war would be to completely fucking stop. And I think if this conspiracy theories are true, maybe that's what the government and people in power are afraid of, is that if everybody started probably thinking like I do, where you live in alternative lifestyle design, you slowly start moving into a producer instead of a consumer, guess what? You don't need them anymore. But as I said, at a war, instead of people fighting and losing lives and being fucking dumb, in my opinion, they go to take this away. Well, guess what? We're all going to band together. Fuck you. We're going to grow our own fucking food, whether you like it or not. Fucking shoot me then, motherfucker. And we're also not going to spend our money on your shit. We're going to take you down by the dollar, because the moment we stop supporting this financially, the whole fucking shit show goes down. I'll probably get black band, there's probably some black ops helicopter flying above me right now. Hey, if I get like zip line out of my truck right now, it was nice knowing y'all, who fucking knows, man? This shit's just fucking getting crazy. But we got to stay, keep our shit together, keep our minds straight, and work in the parameters of which we can. I don't want to cause war, and I wouldn't want to disrupt all this stuff. We have a very nice way of living, right? But if people want to fuck with us, then we're going to have to do something different. And I don't know. That's all I have to say on that. I beat that one up enough. You guys stay positive and fucking, find the things that you can control instead of getting so down. I started to go down some of these rabbit holes, and I forgot how crazy it can make you feel sometimes. So, hey guys, I care about you. I believe in you. You just got to believe in yourself. There's different ways of living. We don't have to live this shit show. I'm your ambassador for the alternative lifestyle design. That's all I got to say. If I brought you guys some value, please, it takes a lot of work. I have no fucking idea what's going on out there. When you do podcasts, you're completely blind. You don't even know if people are listening or not, right? Please review. Please like and share. And give me a middle finger if you think I'm full of shit. Please do that for me. If you guys, it's up and in it. Check it out on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and anywhere where you can find the podcast. And as I always say, guys, go out there and have yourself a near-life experience. Don't lose your muchness. Carry on the fire. Human up. Live it, love it, own it, and bone it, my friends.